Hey guys, how's it going and welcome to the Vina channel. Today I have another Persona video discussion, but this is actually gonna be bringing some from Yakuza Like a Dragon. So if you haven't played the new installment of the series, that's fine. I won't be discussing any spoilers for any of the games or anything like that, but I'll be discussing some of the mechanics and some of the stuff that the game actually does better than Persona in some aspects. And after playing the game and everything, I definitely thought of, man, a lot of these stuff will be good in Persona as well. Not because I'm comparing the two games. I feel like the two games are extremely different for a lot of different reasons, but mainly because a lot of the things that they handle in a much different way, and I really like the way that they handle this stuff. Not saying again that one game is better than the other. I could easily make a game comparing each of the two games, but today I want to talk about three things that I feel Yakuza Like a Dragon does better, and Sega, who owns Atlas, can take that to improve the Persona series in some kind of aspects. Besides me, I also have two of my really good friends that actually introduced me into the Yakuza series. I also asked them what they think they could take from Yakuza Like a Dragon and apply it onto Persona and the series and everything like that. So we're gonna have to start with King Narukami, who thankfully he was like, yeah, I'm really into it and everything, so he's gonna do there. And then we're gonna have David as well, who's also gonna give me his input and tell me what he thinks about this, and then I'm gonna have my own ideas as far as what I want to look at. So let's go ahead and take it with King.
Hey guys, it's King Narukami 45 from Twitter. I think that the Persona series can learn a lot from Yakuza Like a Dragon, but two things in particular kind of caught my attention, in which, Persona could improve upon from Yakuza Like a Dragon's gameplay. One was that this is more the story element of it. In Persona you have all the tropes of, high school kids fighting against the bad adults and everything across all the games. And I think it's time for the Persona series to mature a little bit. And Yakuza Like a Dragon takes all those tropes and just bucks the system. You have people from all facets of adulthood, like Ichiban being kicked out of the Yakuza. You have Adachi being an ex-cop. You have Namba being a homeless guy. And it just puts them in mature situations. And it's like you don't have to complete homework or anything. You can do a bunch of other stuff as well. So it's that mature aspect of it that I think the Persona series can learn from. Obviously, Persona 2 hit on that a little bit, but other than that, it's been basically the same. Another thing that I think the Persona series can learn from Yakuza Like a Dragon is the turn-based battle system that they have. Of course, Persona has turn-based gameplay as well, but seeing everyone fight in the streets, and it was kind of dynamic in the way of as they presented the gameplay. They fought in the streets and you had weapons on the side. Ichiban would go and grab a trash can and bash the enemy's head with it, or a bicycle. It just felt very dynamic and unique for the setting. I think that's something that Persona could learn from. It felt very fast-paced and the gameplay just felt so fluid that I think Persona can learn a little thing from that. Anyways, thanks Kiro for having me on for this video, and I'll catch you guys later.
What is up everyone, David here, and I'm here today, as you all know, to talk about Yakuza Like a Dragon and of course Persona. More precisely, what can Persona take from Yakuza Like a Dragon? We do know that this game, Yakuza Like a Dragon in particular, not the rest of the series necessarily, has some similar points to Persona, the Persona games. And I want to make this very clear right away before I start. As you can see, I'm a big fan of and Megaton in general, Persona as well, and big fan of the Yakuza series as well. Been playing all the games for a long time now, and Like a Dragon was a game that I really loved. And we do see that there's some similar elements from the Persona games that's in this one. So one of them being the fact that you have, for example, some type of social links when you go to the bar and you talk with your characters and stuff like that. So some very interesting elements. When Kuro asked me to talk about what I think Persona could take from the Yakuza Like a Dragon game, I have two things that came up in my mind right away. And the first thing being, in the Yakuza games, yes, in Like a Dragon, but in all the other games as well, all the games, they have extremely interesting, engaging, and memorable side quests. And this is something that I feel like in Persona games, they're not that memorable. For example, I played Like a Dragon a few months ago, this year, 2020, last year now. And I also played Persona 5 Royal last year. Persona 5, a game that I played twice. And I can tell you right away, I can describe to you right away a few side quests and what their story were and who the characters were in the side quest from Like a Dragon right now. Without looking up anything, I could describe some quests right now to you. While Persona 5, I played the game 3 times, including Royal this year, and I can't talk to you about the side quests and the characters that there was and stuff like that. The social links and stuff were way more complex and interesting in Persona, in my opinion. But when it comes to side quests, like the Mementos missions and stuff like that, not so much. And it's the same thing for the other games. I'm not talking just about Persona 5 and Royal here. I'm talking about the other games as well. For example, in Persona 4, yeah, there's a few quests here and there, but nothing that memorable, nothing that interesting. In the Yakuza games, I mean, all the games, their main stories, they take about 20 to 25 hours average to complete. For me, I always spend 40 plus hours in each of the games and way more in Like a Dragon because there's more content there. And for me, that's a good thing because I'm completing my story, and whenever there's a character that stops me in the middle of the streets because he has a side quest, I can't skip it. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go, bro. Because I know it's gonna be amazing. And that's something I think is really worth something to me. For the Yakuza game, it's almost a tradition at this point. Whenever I play a game, I'm like, can't wait to see what they're gonna do with the side quests. And that's awesome. That's honestly really awesome. I love my side content in the Yakuza games. So to summarize this first point of me, I do feel like Persona could improve on their side quests. They're there, there's some content there, and I don't think they're as fun to play through as the Yakuza side quests. The second thing that I'm going to talk about, and I do know that Kuro's going to talk about this, but I want to stress this out once again because this is a point that's extremely important for me whenever I do a wishlist video or something talking about the next Persona game. It's a point that I always bring up. I feel like it's now the time to move on to an adult cast, or at least a more mature cast for the characters of the next Persona games. The other Persona games are great. They have some of the best cast of characters that I've ever seen in a game, so don't get me wrong here. But I feel like the Persona games are tackling some very mature subjects in life in general as well. Corrupted politicians, shitty adults, very different topics that are like important topics that it's great that a video game talks about. The game's rated mature, 17 plus. So I feel like they could go even deeper into those subjects with an adult cast of characters. I feel like that would be amazing. The fact that daily you don't necessarily have to go to school anymore, you might even go to work, stuff like that. Instead of having social links during lunchtime at college, well, you could, go to the bar, like in Yakuza Like a Dragon, or like in Catherine, for example. I feel like that would be amazing. And the one thing that I want to stress here is that they could really tackle some very, very important and deep subjects that they're already doing, but even more. It would be refreshing. As a longtime fan of the series, this is a wish that has been on my mind for a long time now, but I'm expressing it right now. I really want to see a mature cast for the next Persona games. Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, well, thank you so much, David and King, for coming by. I appreciate you guys inputting here. So let's go ahead and jump into my ideas. So number one is going to be the mature setting. So one of the biggest and more interesting aspects of the Yakuza series, particularly this game, is that all of these people that you're playing with are adults. They are mature adults, or not so mature at times, but they're definitely people that have some experience in life. They're not just teenagers that are trying to save the world. It's in a much bigger way, a smaller scale game that does have a lot of different stuff, and because it does have adults, the ambience and everything about it just feels more mature. Even when they're having fun and everything, it does have that an aspect of, yeah, I'm playing as an adult that is dealing with more adult problems that teenagers or younger people wouldn't really experience too much because of the aging of time and everything. A lot of the issues just come off in a different way. That is something that I always wanted for the Persona series since Persona 5, also Persona 4. I just felt that having a more mature game in the series will be good for it. Overall, I feel like a lot of the people that have played the games from the beginning are now full adults that have experienced life in more different ways. I particularly find myself almost not being able to relate on some of the aspects in the series anymore. I haven't been in high school in over 10 years, so my experience on that is being kind of almost like, I don't feel the same way as I did once upon a time about the Persona games when it comes to the setting. I really would like in a college or a more mature setting. I feel like it works perfectly for the series. And again, it does allow for a more mature storytelling with a lot of aspects. People handle differently. And I'm not saying that younger people or teenagers are not able to handle a lot of these subjects, because they are the people, emotional maturity has nothing to do with age. It's a different thing altogether. But I do feel like having a mature cast really works well for the game, and I would like to see it on Persona. I think that it could work pretty well. Again, some of the things that you see on what they have, the drinking links, which is kind of like play on social links from Persona. It does handle many different stuff that you wouldn't be able to handle in Persona context and everything, just because of the stuff that they handle, they work with, and everything like that. It's just really interesting. I really like the way they did that. So moving on to my number 2 point is actually pertaining to the social links or the confidence, because I do feel in a different aspect the Yakuza series really stands out on its own. So overall, when you are walking around with your party members or with your group of people and friends, and you're just having a fun, talking about them and everything, while doing activities together or playing together, you're already increasing the level of closeness, or the level of friendship with them. You don't actually have to go meet them over and over again until you increase the level to that particular point where you can break the story forward. That is actually an issue that I have with Persona, because at some points you're not really doing anything. You just go and waste half of your day, and it's like your meter increased or whatever, and it really doesn't do anything. The way that Yakuza does it is it does it organically while spending time with the characters. The story moves forward, a little bit of the meter goes, you fought a certain boss battle, a little bit of their meter goes up. You guys ate food together, a little bit of meter goes up. Things like that just feels really organic. It feels like it's part of the day and everything like that, but at the same time, it really does allow for more interaction when it's needed. And once you're done and your meter is up, you go to this bar where they hang out, and you start and you trigger that particular storyline. The storyline just move forwards with the story and everything like that, and just rinse and repeat. I feel in that aspect it does feel more organic, because you don't really go and schedule time with your friends and go and have to do that just to rank up. I feel like the way that they did it in this game just really works really well. Now, not everything is perfect in Yakuza. I do feel that some of the stories weren't super good, or a lot of them were super goofy and everything, but the interaction and everything like that just felt really organic. A lot of them, even some of them, actually involve you having to go and do some kind of mission or quest and everything, which is more than just sitting there and talking different options or whatever. The game really goes out of your way to kind of make you involved with the character by doing something. And even one of the things that I love about the Yakuza game is that they even mention parts of the story that you played previously and kind of bring that back again together. Persona 5 did that, but I feel like it almost relied too much on it, because that was the only thing some people will talk about. For example, Anne, who is one of the characters in Persona 5, she talks about Shiho, her friend, all the time. Shiho had a very important storyline in Persona 5, and that is a major trigger point for Anne, but she really talks about her a lot. In fact, she's the most thing that she talks about. And sometimes I almost feel like that was cool, but I want to know you more of a character, not about your friend and everything like that. But again, I digress and everything, not my point. But I do feel like they could easily improve a lot of that. And Yakuza Like a Dragon is a really good example on how to do that a little bit more organic, a little bit more friend-ish. It feels more friendship and everything like that. And you're doing, again, that's one of the things like why I didn't like the word confident too much, because it didn't feel like you're making a connection with a friend. You're more like having a peer or kind of person that is helping you in some kind of way, but not particularly a friend. That's two different stuff right there. The drinking links in Yakuza does make you feel like you're making friends much better, definitely. All right, so moving on to number 3 is the fact that this game does not have a calendar, and it allows for a lot more activities per day. In fact, a lot of the times there's so many different stuff that you can do in Yakuza Like a Dragon. If you ever play any of the Yakuza games, they're famous for the amount of content that they have, whether it's going to the arcades to play games, whether it's going to fishing, there's going to darts, there's going to bars, there's going to eating food. There's all these abilities you can do. In fact, there's this thing called Dragon Kart, when you can go and literally race other people in mini go-karts. It looks ridiculous, it sounds as ridiculous as it is, and it's one of the things that I actually like quite a bit, because in a sense it really does feel like you're just enjoying the time in Japan or in whatever part of Japan you're in, but at the same time you're increasing your stats, you're doing activities and everything like that, and it does feel like that. Now the social stats in Yakuza Like a Dragon aren't as tough as in Persona 5. I think Persona or in Persona games, they typically tend to be more flexible. You need them for particular things and everything. Yakuza made it a little more easier on that end, that yes, you're increasing them, but you still have plenty of activities and plenty of things to do. You don't have to unlock that particular part or anything like that. Again, the games handle themselves very different. That's why I don't want to compare them too much, but I really do like the fact that you have much more freedom to do per day on Yakuza Like a Dragon than in Persona. In Persona, you really can do one or two things before your day is over. Sometimes you go to school, hang out with one of your friends, and that's it. The day is over now. You have to go to sleep. and that happens a lot. Quite a bit of times you're like, oh man, I really wanted to do this thing, or some activities take time, some things don't take time. It's kind of confusing sometimes actually in Persona, because unless you know what you're going to do and you already know that this activity is going to take you the time or not, you sometimes don't know. Sometimes you want to go and eat food and it really just takes the whole day for you. Sometimes you go and buy some items and it doesn't take any of the day. So a lot of these activities should be more kind of clear cut, which ones are which one, so people kind of can manage their days better. I feel like the game just doesn't allow for time management too good, especially because the game has a lot of replayability value. But again, the way that Yakuza Like a Dragon, where there's no time limit, there's all these activities you can do, you're increasing your stats and everything like that. It almost feels like you're grinding for social stats, but at the same time you're just having a lot of fun playing these games. Again, there's the arcades where you can play all these games, there's this go-karts, there's all these things that you can do and everything, and at the same time you are grinding those social stats, but at the same time you're having fun, you're doing those activities and everything. That's something that I definitely enjoyed a lot of the game. In fact, once you finish the game, you can just free roam the entire city and just go doing those activities, and you can do a lot of side quests and that kind of stuff. That definitely I like quite a bit about it. And one point that I want to mention on that aspect is with the side quest giving XP. That's something that the Persona games don't do. They don't give you XP in that aspect. I feel like they maybe should, just because it does feel like, you know, progression and that kind of stuff. Anyway, that is pretty much in this video here. Just wanted to discuss my impressions with now that I finish Yakuza Like a Dragon, when I'm talking about Persona, because again, that's one of my favorite series and I really love seeing some improvements over time. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you're new, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time.